Welcome to the Deep Dive. Glad you're here to explore something, well, pretty powerful. How to unlock the knowledge that's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, specifically within your existing environmental health and safety documents.
Exactly. We're talking about taking all those reports, logs, procedures you already have,
The stuff probably sitting on your desk or in a folder right now.
and actually turning them into dynamic tools, real insights.
That's the core idea. Today, we're diving deep into EHS environmental health and safety and looking at how all that information you've gathered,
Binders, spreadsheets, digital files, whatever it is.
how it can be used in totally new ways.
So our source material for this deep dive, it gives us glimpses of an AI tool, Strategy.ai, and basically discusses its practical applications in EHS.
Using those very documents we just mentioned, it's all about leveraging what you've got.
And our mission today, our goal for this deep dive, is pretty ambitious, but also, I think, really practical. We're going to unpack 10 specific, concrete ways you can use your existing stuff.
Things like incident reports, yeah. Audit findings, SOPs, your standard operating procedures.
Safety data sheets, SDSs, permits,
Yeah.
all that routine paperwork.
And the aim is to get breakthrough results from it.
So why should you listening care? Well, because it's about moving past just shuffling papers.
Right. It's about actually changing safety and compliance outcomes for the better.
Think about it. Potentially fewer incidents, faster compliance checks, maybe better employee health overall.
And building a stronger safety culture, all from the intelligence that's already in your files.
It's kind of shifting from being reactive to being proactive, getting insights that maybe used to take days or even weeks.
Getting them done before your coffee break's even over. It's a big shift.
From feeling overwhelmed to feeling, ahead of the curve on risk. So let's unpack this.
Okay, let's jump straight in. Where do we start? How about predicting issues before they even happen?
Oh, yeah. That sounds like a game changer. Application 1. Using your documents as a predictive incident risk analyzer.
We've all been there, right? That feeling after an incident. Ugh, if only we'd seen this coming. That reactive cycle is it's exhausting.
And the crazy thing is, the data you need to maybe see it coming. It's often right there.
Like what kind of data?
Your historical incident spreadsheets, for starters. Near-miss logs. PDFs from internal audits you've done. Even schedules for non-routine tasks.
Okay, so instead of just logging incidents after they happen.
Right. The idea is AI can look across all this different data, find patterns, and pinpoint conditions where risk is higher.
So identifying likely incident types before they occur.
Exactly. The old way. Wait for something bad, then fix it. The new way. Use the past to prevent the future. Focus your safety efforts where they count most.
Makes sense. The source material had some specific examples, right? Prompts you could use.
Yeah, pretty concrete stuff. Like you could ask it to analyze incident data from the last 5 years in the upcoming maintenance schedule.
Okay, so combining historical data with future plans. Or you could get even more specific. Imagine asking which tasks next week carry the highest historical hand injury risk based on your past incident reports.
Wow, that's targeted.
Or mixing different data types. Like using our Q1 near-miss reports and recent weather warnings, are slips, trips, and falls more likely out in the yard?
So combining internal reports with external factors, that moves you from just general awareness to really targeted prevention.
Exactly.
And when you think big picture, the potential impact for you, the listener, it seems huge.
Definitely. We're talking potentially lower lost time injury frequency rates, maybe a reduced total recordable incident rate.
Could even mean lower workers' comp costs.
It's truly proactive risk management.
Which leads us nicely into the second application, actually, using your policies and procedures.
As an on-demand EHS policy and procedure advisor. Okay, I can see the need for this one.
Okay.
How much time do people spend digging through dense OSHA regs?
Yeah.
Flipping through those huge internal policy binders? It's a massive time drain, isn't it? And there's always that little worry, did I miss something? Did I interpret that correctly? Especially when you're dealing with a new situation or project.
Yeah, the pressure's on.
So the opportunity here is to feed the system your internal policies, your SOPs, and let it instantly cross-reference them with external standards like OSHA regulations.
So conceptually, the AI becomes like your expert guide.
Sort of, yeah. You describe the scenario, maybe a new task or a question.
And it doesn't just do a keyword search.
No, it understands the context. It pulls the relevant bits from your internal docs and the external standards and gives you specific guidance for that scenario.
Okay, so you move from just hoping you found everything
To getting a comprehensive context-aware answer, presented clearly, quickly.
Got an example?
Sure. Let's say you're setting up a new chemical storage area. You could ask it to summarize the key OSHA and internal requirements for ventilation, spill containment, and placarding for this new area.
And it pulls from both sources instantly.
Right. Or say an ergonomic hazard gets reported at workstation B. You could ask, outline the investigation steps as per our ergonomics program and our incident reporting SOP.
And it just gives you the exact process from your own documents.
Exactly. The benefits seem pretty clear here. Higher compliance, fewer violations maybe,
Much faster answers for your team when they have critical questions.
and probably better understanding of the procedures because the info is right there, tailored, easy to get.
Okay, application 3 builds on this, focusing on chemicals.
Okay.
The chemical exposure, risk assessor, and control recommender.
Ah, yes, chemical exposure is always a big concern, making sure you've got the right controls, the right PPE for every task.
Especially when you're dealing with complex chemicals, multiple steps, those really dense safety data sheets, the SDSs.
Right, those SDSs have vital info, but manually comparing them with task procedures and maybe monitoring data to figure out the best controls, that takes time, a lot of time.
So the opportunity is feed the AI, the SDSs, and task procedures.
And any existing monitoring data you might have, yeah. It can then assess the exposure risks based on all that input.
So instead of you manually juggling all these data points,
The AI helps spot potential exposure routes and then recommends appropriate controls. Engineering controls, PKE, maybe even changes to the procedure itself. It's about optimizing protection.
what kind of prompt would you use?
The source suggests things like, for task X involving chemical Y, look at the SDS for chemical Y, then list all exposure routes and the recommended PPE according to our PPE matrix.
Ah, so it connects the chemical's properties directly to your company's documented safety rules, like a PPE matrix.
Precisely. Or if, say, air monitoring shows an issue, maybe Solvent Z is getting close to the exposure limit,
You could ask.
which controls from our Control Technologies Guide would best reduce airborne levels. It helps translate that monitoring data into practical, documented solutions from your playbook.
The impact seems pretty direct. Better employee health, potentially fewer occupational illnesses.
Assured compliance with exposure limits, maybe even smarter spending on PPE because you're targeting it better based on the assessed risk.
Okay, let's switch gears slightly. Let's talk training. Application 4. The EHS Training Needs and Effectiveness Analyzer.
Yeah, this is a big one. How often do you, or people you know, wonder if the training programs are actually working?
Or are they just checking a box? Does the training actually prevent incidents? It's hard to know sometimes.
It really is. Gauging the real impact is tough when the data's all over the place.
So the opportunity is connect the dots.
Basically, yeah. Connect incident logs, findings from audits, with training data, maybe quiz scores, completion reports from your LMS, your learning management system.
Okay, so the AI pulls these different sources together.
And looks for connections. Are there training gaps contributing to incidents? Or audit findings? It helps you measure the real effectiveness.
So moving beyond just guessing about impact.
To seeing clear, data-driven links between training and what's actually happening on the ground.
How specific can you get with questions?
Pretty specific, like review our incident report for Q2, which recurring incidents suggest we might need a lockout-hagout refresher.
Okay, linking incidents directly to potential training needs.
Or looking at learning itself. Compare pre- and post-test scores for hazard communication training. Which questions showed the least improvement?
Ah, that tells you where the training material might need tweaking.
Exactly. And you can go even deeper. The source mentioned analyzing the relationship between training status and incidents.
How so?
Like asking it to look at incident reports and LMS completion data for initial training, refresher training, overdue training, on-the-job training, successful observations.
Wow, okay.
And then show the number and type of incident for each level of training. That gives you incredibly detailed insight for strategic training decisions.
That really helps make sure your training resources are effective. The impact, higher ROI on training, hopefully.
Fewer incidents caused by knowledge gaps, and a genuinely stronger safety culture because learning is targeted.
Makes sense. Okay, let's shift to environmental compliance. Application 5. The Environmental Permit Compliance Tracker and Forecaster.
Oof, yeah. This is a huge responsibility for many EHS pros, keeping track of all those permit conditions, emissions data, waste manifests, reporting deadlines.
The risk of missing something. Fines. Disruptions.
Yep.
It's significant.
And the sheer volume of data can just feel overwhelming.
So the opportunity here is to have the AI match up your operational data.
Your emissions logs, waste manifests, maybe your internal compliance calendars.
Match it directly against your actual permit conditions, like the details in your NPDES water discharge permit.
Exactly. The AI basically acts like a vigilant partner, a watchdog.
How so?
It can flag potential non-compliance before you actually hit a limit or miss a deadline.
So instead of manually checking data against complex permit rules,
Yeah.
the old way.
You get an automated system that looks ahead, forecasts potential issues based on the data you're feeding it.
So you could ask it.
Using our latest water discharge log and our NPDES permit, are any parameters getting close to or at risk of exceeding limits this month? It gives you that heads up.
Time to investigate and fix things before it's a violation.
Right. Or even just for staying organized. List all environmental reporting deadlines in the next 90 days according to our environmental compliance calendar. Helps manage that admin burden.
The impact seems very direct here. Avoiding fines, keeping your permits in good standing.
More accurate sustainability reports, and really reducing the risk of shutdowns due to compliance slip-ups.
Okay, let's talk audits. Safety audits and inspections. Application 6. The Safety Audit and Inspection Trend Analyzer.
Right. We do audits to improve things, but sometimes it feels like the same issues just keep cropping up, doesn't it?
Yeah, and trying to manually pull trends out of, like, dozens or hundreds of separate reports from different areas, that takes forever.
You end up with stacks of paper or maybe files scattered across different systems. Hard to see the big picture.
The forest for the trees, yeah.
So the opportunity is simple. Upload those audit and inspection reports, PDFs, whatever format. Let the AI do the heavy lifting.
What does it do?
It automatically surfaces the recurring hazards, the things mentioned again and again across all those reports.
Okay, finding the common problems.
And more than that, it can spot if certain departments or areas seem to be trending downwards in safety performance based on the audit findings over time.
So it gives you a really clear, actionable view of safety performance, not just for one area, but across the board.
Exactly. You could ask, from the last 50 warehouse inspections, what are the top 3 most frequently cited hazards? Tells you exactly where to focus.
Or monitor specific concerns.
Yeah, like using our monthly safety audit summaries is machine guarding compliance trending down on production line C. Allows for timely intervention.
The impact here seems clear too. More proactive fixing of hazards because you see the biggest recurring problems.
Hopefully better audit scores down the line. And just more focused safety improvements targeted right where the data points.
Let's move to preparedness. Application 7. The Emergency Response Plan Simulator and Gap Identifier.
The ERP. Everyone has one, right? But how confident are you really that it'll work perfectly in a crisis?
Tabletop exercises are good, but they have limits. You can't possibly test every single scenario that way.
And just reading through a dense plan, trying to spot every potential gap or unclear point, that's really difficult.
So the opportunity is upload your actual ERP and maybe facility maps.
Exactly. The AI can then simulate different emergencies, a fire, a chemical spill, a power outage, running through the steps outlined in your plan.
And what does that achieve?
It helps highlight potential gaps, maybe roles that aren't clearly defined for that scenario, inconsistencies in the procedures, things that might cause confusion or delays in a real event.
So you're actively stress testing the plan digitally before you need it for real.
Right. Instead of just hoping it's complete, you use the AI to actively hunt for weaknesses. The source had prompts like, simulate a chlorine gas leak in storage area C. Detail the required notifications, evacuation routes, and PPE as per our ERP.
And it walks through your plan's steps for that scenario.
Yeah. Or you could use it to probe specific weak points. Review our ERP for a major power outage, where our backup communication responsibility is unclear. It helps you zero in on areas needing improvement.
That's fascinating. It enhances preparedness in a way that's tough to do manually.
The impact. A stronger, more robust ERP. Potentially faster, more effective response if something does happen.
And just the confidence that comes from knowing you've proactively found and fixed weaknesses in your plan.
Okay, next up, dealing with external folks. Application 8, Contractor EHS Pre-Qualification and Performance Monitor.
Contractors. Bringing them on site definitely adds complexity. New safety variables to manage.
And efficiently checking their safety readiness before they start work, then monitoring them while they're there, that can be a real challenge.
You get all their documents, safety stats, insurance certs, daily logs maybe. Trying to make sense of it all manually takes serious time.
So the opportunity is, again, using those documents you collect. The AI can help rank potential contractors during pre-qualification.
Based on risk.
Yeah, based on their submitted EHS performance data. And then it can help monitor their ongoing work once they're on site. It streamlines the whole process.
So moving away from that feeling of being buried in paperwork.
Towards AI-assisted risk ranking and monitoring.
How would that work in practice?
For prequel, you could ask something like, compare contractor A versus contractor B safety metrics based on their submitted EHS docs. Who poses the lower EHS risk? Helps make a data-driven choice.
Okay, and for monitoring ongoing work.
You could feed it their daily reports and ask, from the on-site contractor XYZ daily report, flag any near-miss trends this week. Helps you spot issues early.
The impact seems pretty direct. Reduced risk from contractor activities.
Potentially fewer contractor incidents, yeah. Better assurance they're meeting your standards, and maybe even lower liability because you've got a clear process for vetting and monitoring.
Makes sense. Okay, application 9 takes us towards efficiency and sustainability. Waste stream optimization and cost reduction advisor.
Right. Are you sure you're getting the most value or maybe the least cost out of your waste streams?
There can be hidden costs, missed chances to recycle.
Yeah.
It's hard to know sometimes if you don't really understand what waste you're generating, where it's coming from, what's actually in it.
Just tracking disposal costs isn't really enough, is it? You need insights you can act on.
So the opportunity is analyzing the data you likely already have, waste generation reports, disposal cost info, recycling rate.
Exactly. The AI analyzes this data and can identify opportunities, maybe ways to reduce waste at the source or segregate things differently to cut disposal costs or boost recycling.
Going beyond just tracking to actually suggesting how to improve.
Right. You could ask, which department produces the most non-hazardous solid waste by volume and what's in that stream based on our latest waste generation reports? Helps you target your efforts.
Or look at the financial side.
Yeah. If we increase our recycling of material X by 20%, what cost savings can we expect versus landfill based on our disposal cost data?
And the source mentions something important here too.
Ah, yes. Thinking about consequences. Prompting it to consider what unintended consequences could we see from this change. That encourages a more holistic view.
Smart. The impact is pretty straightforward. Lower disposal costs, higher recycling rates.
Which helps with sustainability goals and just a smaller environmental footprint overall, turning waste data into savings and environmental wins.
Okay, finally, application 10. A common challenge. The ergonomic risk assessment assistant.
Yes, ergonomics. Musculoskeletal disorders, MSDs, they're a huge source of recordables, discomfort, lost time.
And systematically finding and fixing those risks before someone gets injured. That can be tough.
Manual assessments are crucial, but they take time, and connecting findings across different workstations or tasks isn't always easy.
So the opportunity is leveraging existing ergo documents.
Right, like your documented ergonomic guidelines or best practices manual, and maybe any ergo survey data you've collected from employees about discomfort or workstation issues.
Feed those into the AI.
Yeah. It references these materials. It can flag risks that employees mention in surveys and then suggest practical improvements based on your company's established best practices.
So it's augmenting the assessment process. Not replacing the expert, but helping them connect the dots faster.
Exactly. Instead of manually sifting through survey comments and then separately looking up the guidelines, the AI helps link them. The source had a perfect prompt example.
Which was?
Using the Ergo Survey Assembly Report, identify ergonomic risks on line 3 and recommend improvements as per our Ergonomic Best Practices Manual.
Connects employee feedback, location, and your documented standard procedure.
Precisely. It directly links what people are reporting and what your standards say should be done.
The impact. Fewer MSDs, hopefully. Better employee comfort, maybe better productivity.
And ultimately, potentially lower costs from ergo-related claims. It's about tackling that discomfort proactively before it turns into an injury.
So there we have it, 10 really powerful practical ways, all drawn from our source material, to take the EHS documents you already have.
And use them to drive actual tangible results. Fewer incidents, stronger compliance, a healthier, safer place to work.
We really hope these ideas sparked some thoughts for you listening. Maybe one or two applications felt particularly relevant to your specific role or your organization right now.
And remember, the key takeaway isn't about adding more complexity, it's the opposite.
It's about unlocking the intelligence that's already sitting right there in your everyday files, your reports.
Knowledge just waiting to be tapped into and used in these new transformative ways.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to maybe ponder until our next deep dive.
Consider this. What other overlooked insights might be hiding in the routine reports and documents you interact with every single day? Insights just waiting to transform some other aspect of your work. Or maybe even your life.
Something to think about.
Definitely. And if any of this sparked more questions, or if you'd like us to explore how this AI approach might apply in a completely different functional area,
Let us know. Reach out, leave comments on the platform. We enjoy seeing where the source material leads.
absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time.